We begin tonight in the Central Otago town of Roxburgh, where the worst flooding in almost 4 decades, 40 years, has left people without drinking water and sewerage infrastructure until at least Wednesday. Power has also been out there and at Miller's Flat. The problem was both the rain and the months of dry weather that had preceded it. When 40 millimetres of rain fell in just 3 hours yesterday, there was nowhere for it to go. Bone dry soil kept it above ground and the flooding was instant. Authorities now worry further rain that is forecast, although the forecast seems to be improving, will bring more flooding. Our Otago Southern reporter Ian Telfer is there.
Today, diggers and bulldozers are working outside Thomas Winiata's house and his kids are playing in the mud. But Mr Winiata says yesterday's flash flood was really scary.
They just told us to scrape as much gears as we can and get out as fast as we could. It was quite scary. The rocks just keep piling up and it just got higher and higher, and next minute you see trees coming down.
The Reservoir Creek drain, which runs down from the hills between these houses, is normally clean and concrete lined. But tons of boulders and rock and mud rushed down, filling it up so it looks like an alpine stream. A neighbour, Becky Slade, says it was crazy.
It didn't stop raining, and it didn't stop raining. And all of a sudden we heard an almighty, like a couple of 10-tonne trucks crashing. So we ran out and I could see spray from the bottom of the creek. Went down and it was just raging, absolutely raging, and it just got worse and worse and worse. We were watching trees go over, hitting the bridge. There's a concrete bridge down there. That went and it just backed up and up and up and up. And then we got evacuated when it started coming over the road. And then we were watching the sludge just all come down through our houses. So just unbelievable. Never seen anything like it.
Becky Slade says the Clutha River now has new whitewater rapids where rocks have poured into it. In all, 8 homes were evacuated and more properties were flooded. But the rest of the town's like an earthquake zone, with power cuts and the water and sewerage out, probably until Wednesday. The flood destroyed the transformer which powers the town's reservoir and also its main pipe. At the Roxburgh Area School, students and parents were scraping away a layer of mud which covers the grounds and offices and many classrooms. NCEA exams had to be held elsewhere, and the rest of the 170 pupils will have at least 2 days off school. The principal, Gary Pascoe, says there's silt everywhere.
Oh, there's plenty of it. It was well over knee deep in some parts of the school when I walked around in my gumboots this morning, so there was a significant amount, and it was really hard to move because it was like concrete. So luckily the diggers came in and managed to move most of that.
Met Service reported about 40 millimetres of rain hit the town over 3 hours. But one resident says there was a lot more than that.
My next door neighbour, he's got all the gear that can collect the rainfall, and he says we've got 71 mils. That's a lot of rain.
It's a lot in a short time.
Yeah.
You reckon you got 71 mils in what period?
2 hours. And up until yesterday we had 4 mils the whole month.
Central Otago's Mayor Tim Cadogan says the town is resilient, but it's making him nervous that more storms are forecast for tonight.
I'm most worried about another thunderclump coming today. That's what I'm most worried about. The rest of it is we've got away, and the rest of it's going to be high-end inconvenience, really. And I don't say that lightly, but it is going to be really a bit difficult for the next few days. But look, we're resilient people here in Central Otago, and I'm sure everybody's going to help their neighbours, make sure everyone's all right and get through.
With a big clean-up on its hands already, the town's residents are keeping their fingers crossed that any more bad weather will pass it by. In Roxburgh for Checkpoint, Ian Telfer.